Year 3118. In a ruined world, the surviving cities devour one another. Yet, amidst this chaos, a few still fight for justice. Mortal Engines is a story that will take you on an adventure into a futuristic world. This story is set in a distant future where Earth has been destroyed. The remaining humans struggle to survive in massive robotic cities. These cities move on wheels, resembling giant vehicles, and are often called moving cities. Among them, the largest and most powerful is London City. London City's commander, Thaddeus Valentine, orders his crew to capture a smaller city to seize its food and resources. Following his command, the colossal city chases the smaller one. Inside this small city, we see a mysterious girl hiding her face beneath a cloth. The small city desperately tries to escape using its speed, but in the end, London City opens its massive engine doors and absorbs it. In an instant, the smaller city's engine is dismantled and thrown into a fiery furnace. This blazing fire serves as the power source of London City, allowing it to travel anywhere effortlessly. The people from the smaller city are captured, but instead of being killed, they are forced into labor. However, none of them trust the Londoners. They fear they might be executed soon. Commander Thaddeus Valentine reassures them, saying, "You will be treated just like our own people here." In this moving city, we meet Tom Natsworthy, the movie's protagonist. He has a passion for collecting ancient artifacts and possesses deep knowledge of history and technology. One day, Catherine Valentine, Thaddeus Valentine's daughter, visits him. She is curious to know how Earth was destroyed, as people once lived on solid ground, yet now they survive in moving cities. Tom explains that Earth was devastated by Medusa, a terrifying quantum weapon. A super weapon capable of annihilating entire cities in an instant. Because of Medusa, civilization collapsed within just 60 minutes. The few survivors abandoned old ways, built massive engines, and started living atop these moving cities, just like London City itself. But even in this world, some people still live on solid ground, just like in the old days. Tom was examining some ancient artifacts collected from the small city when Thaddeus Valentine arrived. Seeing Tom's interest, Valentine praised his curiosity and asked, "You once wanted to be a pilot. You even trained for it. So why did you abandon that dream to study old relics?" Tom replied that circumstances had forced him to give up his dream, but now he had grown to enjoy this work. Meanwhile, in the crowd, the masked girl from earlier appeared. She pulled out a knife and started advancing toward Valentine. Tom noticed her from a distance and rushed into the crowd to stop her. But before he could act, the girl stabbed Valentine. As she withdrew the knife, she said, "This is for my mother, Pandora Shaw." The mention of the name shocked Valentine. By then, the girl's mask had slipped off, revealing a grotesque scar across her face. Her name was Hester Shaw. She attempted to strike again, but Tom stopped her. Hester pushed him away and ran. Both Tom and Valentine chased after her. As she fled, Hester nearly fell off a ledge. At the last moment, Tom reached out and grabbed her hand. Hester looked into his eyes and said, "Valentine isn't the man he pretends to be. He is cruel, ruthless. He killed my mother." With those words, she let go of Tom's hand and dropped into a massive garbage chute, one that dumped all of London City's waste outside. Just then, Valentine arrived. Tom, still in shock, hesitated before saying, "I don't know. She was saying strange things. She called you a murderer. She said you killed her mother." Hearing this, Valentine simply nodded and, without a trace of emotion, shoved Tom into the same garbage chute. Moments later, Valentine's daughter, Catherine Valentine, arrived with some guards. She looked around and asked, "Where's Tom?" Valentine put on a convincing act, sighing. That outsider girl attacked Tom, and in the struggle, they both fell into the chute. "I feel terrible. Tom was such a kind boy." At that moment, Catherine noticed one of Tom's friends in the crowd. The boy had likely witnessed everything while hiding. His terrified expression said it all. Realizing the danger, he quickly slipped away. Catherine, however, understood. He knew the truth, the escape. In the next scene, Valentine deploys an airship to search for Tom and Hester. Despite scanning the entire area, they find no sign of them. In reality, Tom and Hester had taken refuge inside a cave in the mountains. Inside the cave, Hester pulled out her knife and threatened Tom. "If you hadn't stopped me, I would have killed Valentine." Saying this, she turned to leave. Tom, desperate, called out, "Wait, please don't go alone." He pleaded, "I've spent my entire life in London City. I need to go back." I won't harm you, just help me return. And I want to expose Valentine's secrets. People need to know who he really is. After a moment's hesitation, Hester agreed to help him. Meanwhile, Valentine was working on his secret energy project. The power source for this project? Old fusion cells, a relic of the past with terrifying potential. This secret project was hidden from all the citizens of London City. Even Thaddeus Valentine's senior officers knew nothing about it. The security around the project was extremely tight, and no one was allowed to enter. To everyone else, this place was simply a restricted area. But Thaddeus had one fear: Hester Shaw discovering his secret project. One of the doctors working on the project advised him to visit a prisoner held deep in the ocean. But this was no ordinary prisoner. It was a monster, a terrifying creature that constantly whispered Hester Shaw's name. It wanted her dead. Following the advice, Thaddeus visited the monstrous prisoner. The creature's glowing green eyes alone were enough to send chills down anyone's spine. To confirm its intentions, Thaddeus asked, "What will you do if you see Hester?" Without hesitation, the monster replied, "Kill her." Without wasting any time, Thaddeus detonated the underwater prison, releasing the monster into the world. It immediately set out to hunt down Hester Shaw. Meanwhile, Tom and Hester were still hiding. They had little food, so Hester gave Tom an ancient, rock-hard piece of bread, one made by the people of the old world. It was all they had to eat. After finishing their meal, they both fell asleep. In the middle of the night, Hester suddenly woke up to the sound of a massive engine rumbling. She looked around and saw Tom shouting for help toward a giant moving city. Tom had no idea that these motorized cities hunted ground dwellers at night, and now that he had signaled them, escape was impossible. The city attacked them immediately. But just as they were about to be captured, another city saved them, a city that resembled a giant centipede. This city had the ability to hide underground, making it nearly invisible. The people of this underground city took care of Tom and Hester, treating them kindly. Back in London City, Catherine Valentine, Thaddeus's daughter, felt uneasy. She feared that her father's life was in grave danger. To find answers, she sought out Tom's friend, the same friend who had secretly witnessed Tom and Hester being thrown into the garbage chute. She demanded answers, pleading, "You must know something. Please help me." Tom's friend hesitated before responding. "And what will you do with this information?" Catherine replied. "My father is in danger. His life is at risk." The boy scoffed. "Your father? If anyone's life is in danger, it's not his, it's ours. Your father is the real threat. He's the one who threw Tom into the garbage chute." He then revealed an even darker truth: Thaddeus's secret weapon. A weapon designed to attack and destroy the people who lived on solid ground. These people had built a massive wall to protect themselves, but Thaddeus intended to obliterate it with his weapon. His reason? He believed that beyond the wall lay huge reserves of food, weapons, and fuel. Hearing this, Catherine was devastated. Meanwhile, Tom and Hester realized something suspicious. The people helping them weren't leading them in the right direction. As they searched for a way out, they discovered a secret passage. But there was a problem. Hester was injured and couldn't run. Realizing she wouldn't make it, Hester urged Tom to escape without her, willing to sacrifice herself. But in the short time they had spent together, Tom had grown to care for her. He refused to leave her behind, determined to stay by her side no matter what. In the end, neither of them managed to escape from the city. The engine transported them to a place where live humans were sacrificed. This city's people captured and sold humans for profit. Just as Hester was about to be sold, a new character made a dramatic entrance. Anna Fang, the most wanted criminal in London City. Anna had always worked against Thaddeus Valentine in London City, which is why she was considered their most dangerous enemy. Without hesitation, Anna opened fire, gunning down everyone in sight. In the chaos, she rescued Hester Shaw and Tom Natsworthy. But before they could escape, a terrifying green-eyed monster appeared. From the look on Hester's face, it was clear. She knew this creature very well, but the reason why was still a mystery. Anna fought off the monster, saving them once again. Then, she rushed them onto her aircraft and fled the scene. As they flew away, Anna turned to Hester and asked, "How do you know that creature, and why does it want to kill you?" Hester finally revealed her past. The monster's name was Shrike. When Thaddeus Valentine murdered Hester's mother, she had been left completely alone. It was Shrike who found and raised her. She also revealed the truth about her horrible facial scar. Thaddeus himself had done it. While trying to protect her mother, Hester had been brutally attacked by Thaddeus. He had slashed her face with a knife, leaving a deep, permanent scar. After losing her mother, Hester became silent and distant. One day, Shrike had told her, "I will make you like me, so you will never feel pain, sadness, or nightmares again." Shrike made Hester promise, "One day, you will become like me, immortal and unbreakable." But before the transformation could happen, Hester discovered that Thaddeus Valentine was still alive. Not only that, but she also found out his exact location. Determined to avenge her mother, she escaped from Shrike without keeping her promise. And that was the reason Shrike now wanted to kill her, for breaking her vow. Now, Hester turned to Anna and asked, "Why did you save us? What do you want?" Anna revealed that she had been a close friend of Hester's mother, Pandora Shaw. Ever since Pandora's death, Anna had been searching for Hester. And now, after so many years, she had finally found her. With Pandora gone, Anna felt it was her duty to protect Hester. Meanwhile, back in London City, something unusual was happening. The city was moving in an unexpected direction, not toward its intended destination. A senior officer noticed the change and immediately stormed into Thaddeus Valentine's chamber, demanding, "How dare you change course without my approval?" Up until now, the senior officer had been unaware of Thaddeus's secret project. But now, he finally realized the truth. Thaddeus was working on something in secret. And it wasn't just any project. It was the Medusa project. This was the same project that had destroyed the world years ago. And now, Thaddeus had brought it back. Horrified, the senior officer turned to the others and shouted, "Shut this down immediately! This must stop!" But everyone in the room was loyal to Thaddeus. No one listened. Instead, Thaddeus calmly pulled out a gun and shot the officer dead. Unbeknownst to him, his daughter, Catherine Valentine, had been watching from a distance, along with Tom's friend, Beavis Pod. For the first time, Catherine saw her father's true nature with her own eyes. Meanwhile, Anna Fang took Hester and Tom to a floating city in the sky. She introduced them to some of her people. Everyone was discussing a terrifying reality. London City was advancing toward them at full speed. A full-scale attack was imminent. Anna revealed that Thaddeus Valentine now had the Medusa system in his possession. The only way to stop him was to destroy the system. But the problem was, no one knew how to destroy it. Hearing this, Hester recalled part of her past. Her mother, Pandora Shaw, and Thaddeus Valentine had once been close friends. Both were brilliant scientists. Hester's mother had created a machine that could control the Medusa project. When Thaddeus saw it, greed consumed him. To take possession of the machine, he murdered Hester's mother. From that moment on, Thaddeus had complete control of Medusa. Now, the only way to destroy Medusa was to find the crash drive. Everyone turned to Hester and asked, "But where did your mother hide the crash drive? No one knows where it is. Even Thaddeus doesn't have it." As they were discussing this, Shrike suddenly appeared. With unstoppable power, he began to destroy the floating city. Many warriors tried to stop him, but their attacks had no effect. At one point, Shrike caught Tom Natsworthy and was about to kill him. Just then, Hester fell to her knees, sobbing and pleaded, "Please don't kill him, I love him." The moment Shrike saw Hester's tears, he slowly let Tom go. Deep down, Shrike had never wanted to be the reason Hester cried. Even though he was a terrifying monster, he said nothing. Instead, his body began to deteriorate. Before he was completely destroyed, Shrike handed Hester a locket and said, "When I first found you, this locket was with you. I have kept it safe all these years." Moments later, Shrike collapsed, lifeless. Seeing no other option, everyone boarded the aircraft and fled. As their city was completely destroyed, they saw Shrike's body finally go still forever. Eventually, they reached Sanctuary City, a place where people lived in freedom. Meanwhile, back in London, Thaddeus Valentine made an official declaration. "We will destroy Sanctuary City." Sanctuary's defensive walls were so strong that no one had ever breached them before. But Thaddeus, full of confidence, announced to the people of London, "Now, we have the ultimate weapon. With it, we can win any war. We will break through Sanctuary's walls and seize the city. It holds an abundance of food, fuel, and space for us to live." Hearing this, the citizens of London cheered in excitement. Meanwhile, Anna Fang approached her senior officer, the governor, and urgently requested, "We must attack London first. If we don't, Thaddeus will use Medusa to wipe us out." The governor approved the request. Immediately, the sanctuary forces and soldiers began preparing for war against London. At the same time, Hester carefully examined the locket Shrike had given her. Suddenly, she accidentally opened it. Inside, she discovered a shocking truth. The crash drive that could destroy Medusa had been hidden inside the locket all along. Hester quickly rushed to tell Tom about her discovery. By then, Thaddeus Valentine had reached the outskirts of Sanctuary City. He activated the Medusa system, and within seconds, it struck the city's protective walls. The attack was so powerful that the walls were severely damaged in an instant. The aircraft stationed on top of the walls crashed down in flames. At that moment, Hester and Tom informed Anna Fang about the crash drive. Without wasting time, they set out to launch a counterattack against London City. On their way, many Sanctuary soldiers were killed. However, a small group managed to reach London and land safely. Once there, a fierce battle erupted between Anna Fang and Thaddeus Valentine. During this chaos, Hester sneaked into London's restricted area. Inside, Thaddeus was recharging Medusa for a second strike on Sanctuary City. Acting fast, Hester inserted the crash drive, the same locket her mother had given her, into Medusa's system. Within seconds, Medusa completely shut down. Meanwhile, Anna Fang was gravely wounded in her battle with Thaddeus. With her last breath, she looked at Hester and said, "You must leave now. Run." The moment she finished speaking, Anna passed away. As Thaddeus was making his way back, he ran into his daughter, Catherine Valentine. He said to her, "Come with me, we must escape." But Catherine had finally seen her father for what he truly was. She replied coldly, "I will not go anywhere with a murderer." Realizing he was alone, Thaddeus tried to escape on his own. Just then, Hester blocked his path. She had been waiting for this moment, to avenge her mother's murder. But before she could act, Thaddeus revealed a shocking truth. He said, "Hester, you are my daughter." Hester stood there, completely stunned. Meanwhile, Catherine rushed to London City's control room. The city was still speeding towards Sanctuary at full force. There were thousands of innocent people in Sanctuary. If London wasn't stopped, its massive wheels would crush them all. Catherine tried to shut down the engines, but the control system was already damaged. London was now in automatic mode, unstoppable. Desperate, Catherine sought Tom Natsworthy's help. Tom piloted an aircraft and destroyed London City's power source. As he flew past, he saw that Hester and Thaddeus were still fighting. He rushed to the scene and pulled Hester onto his aircraft. At that moment, Thaddeus grabbed Hester's hand, trying to climb aboard. But he lost his grip and fell. As he struggled to get up, he realized that the collapsing London City was coming straight for him. He was trapped, unable to escape. Thaddeus closed his eyes, and in the next moment, the massive city of London rolled over him, crushing him completely. This was the end of Thaddeus Valentine, and it was also the end of London City, destroyed forever. The survivors of London approached Sanctuary City and asked for shelter. The governor of Sanctuary welcomed them with open arms. Meanwhile, Hester and Tom embraced each other. Then, they boarded their aircraft and set off on a long journey. And that is where the story ends. This movie reminds us of a powerful truth. Technology or power is never the real problem. The true issue lies in how they are used. Those who seek power by oppressing others will always fall. But those who fight against injustice will be remembered as true heroes. The future is in our hands. Now, we must decide. Will we walk the path of destruction, or will we light the way forward?